Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I'm Jyoti Thomas, your Sergeant at Arms for the meeting this morning. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has the virtual hand raised. Kindly make note. We all can see it immediately. Now moving to our Toastmaster of the day. Toastmaster Veronica will be leading us for this meeting. I'm honored to introduce our Toastmaster of the day. With almost 5 years of outstanding Toastmasters experience, she has excelled as a coach, a mentor, and an accredited Toastmasters Leadership Institute trainer. Professionally, she is highly respected international trade consultant and a master trainer with the World Customs Organization, shaping leaders across borders. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Veronica Zuze. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jyoti, for the introduction and for welcoming everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests, depending on where you are joining us from this afternoon in my time. Thank you so much for making time to be here with us. And at this time, I'm going to ask our Pyramid Master to share a link for all our guests to please put your details so that we will be able to join with you even after this meeting. To our guests, we are very elated to have you with us here. And thank you for making time. We know you could be elsewhere, but you made time to be with us here at Leadership Speak, your premier club for advanced Toastmasters. Welcome once again. Leadership begins by owning your choices. Think about that for a moment. Every decision that we make, every action we take or fail to take, sends a message about us. It shows who we are as leaders, and it sets the tone for our leadership journey. Today, our theme is the accountable leader. Are you the accountable leader? An accountable leader is not just someone who gives directions and sets goals. An accountable leader owns their actions and their impact. They act. They reflect, they adapt. And when accountability is combined with self-directed leadership, it means the ability to take the initiative, to lead yourself and to lead others when no one is watching. You get a leader who inspires, who trusts, and in such most cases, they earn the respect of the team. Think about those leaders who have influenced you the most. I'm sure they just didn't back the instructions, but they were accountable. They were dependable. You could rely on them. Think of those that modeled the behaviors they expected from others. That is the power of the accountable leader. And today, the theme is not just about a title, it's our mindset. It's about showing up consistently and being willing to stand by your values. Let us take ownership of the theme today, and let us take time to reflect as accountable leaders. Once again, the PR Master, I hope you have managed to post the link for our guests. Guests, feel at home. We would love to connect with you after this meeting and during the meeting. Relax and enjoy the meeting with us. At this time, I would like now us to move forward as I call upon our toast for the day, who is none other than Toastmaster Dipti, to give us a toast as we begin our meeting. And I would like to say, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us enjoy and be glad in it. We are here for a purpose, and we are here to be edified. Thank you, Toastmaster Dipti.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Veronica. Dear Toastmasters and guests, have you ever stood in front of mirror not to fix your hair or to check your outfit, but to ask yourself, did I lead well today? Did I lead with integrity? And this is the test, mirror test, taken by accountable leaders every day. And how did I learn it? I learned it hard way. I was working as a web editor of a weekly magazine, and there was an article written by a new contributor, Akash, who very enthusiastically had written an article about environment. The article was supposed to go live at 9 a.m. in the morning. I did everything. I finalized, I scheduled the article to go live on time, but that did not happen. When people went to read they clicked on the link, they got 404, page not found error. And that was a horror situation. When I came to know, the first thing, oh, it was not my mistake. This was the thought which came to my mind. Then I was ashamed that I was supposed to make the article live, and that did not happen. I was absolutely horrified. Then I just calmed myself and I went to my boss and I spoke to her. She told me, don't run, just own it up, check what happened, and don't hide. I took that point. I first of all checked the error. What had happened? There was a back-end glitch which had buried the article. The second thing was I immediately called up Akash. I told him that yes, your article was supposed to go live at 9 a.m. It has not gone live till now. It's already 11. I told him that we will design a better system. There seems to be some back-end glitch which nobody noticed. He felt better, and then I did the same thing. I talked to my editorial team and I designed a system where errors would not happen again. Now, lessons learned. I felt better. I built the trust with Akash. I took care. First thing what I did was I had the courage to admit the lapse. Second thing, I took care of contributors' trust. And third thing is that I showed clarity by owning up the mistake. So ladies and gentlemen, please unmute yourself, open your videos, and raise toast to the courage, clarity, and care. That's how we build accountability, accountable leaders, and that makes us more dependable.
Courage, clarity, and care.
Yeah.
Clarity
Courage,
and care.
clarity, and care.
To
Yes.
clarity and care.
Thank you for participating. And over to you, Veronica.
you very much, Toastmaster DP, for that word of encouragement. Even when things don't go right, the accountable leader will find a way of making it right the right way. At this time, I'll go on to introduce the role takers for this meeting who will serve us. The first role taker will be the timer's role, and that will be Toastmaster Ifani. I'll request Toastmaster Ifani to please tell us about your role. Toastmaster Ifani, tell us your role this afternoon and how you are going to serve us.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. And hello, I'm Nelly. So good day, my fellow Toastmasters. And to your honorable guest, I am Nelly, and I am your timer for today's meeting. I will time each speaker according to the agenda and signal using 3 virtual background colors, which is green, yellow, and red. And after each segment, I will post the timing results in the chat. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. I believe a Toastmaster is forever ready. And if things change, they also change. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nelly. I will call upon the grammarian. Do we have our grammarian with us this afternoon to please share about your role?
Veronica seems to be in the room.
Hi, I would be taking the role of the grammarian, Veronica.
Thank you.
So much, thank you very much. So because this was very last minute, I will not be showing you the slide, but I would be playing a game with you. The word of the day is dependable, Dependable. And the meaning of this word is worthy of trust or belief. I would like everybody to put in the chat box name of one person that you can depend on, right? So I just want you all to type the name of one person in your life that you can depend on. Name of that person and say, I can depend on this person. Just put it on the chat. My role as a grammarian would be to monitor the good usage and the not so good usage of the language and report it back at the time when I am called upon. Thank you, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much. How thought-provoking. Who is dependable in your life today? I would encourage us to use that word multiple times if we can. At this time, as we move forward in our agenda, I've shared the agenda in the chat box for those of us who joined late. And I've seen also Toastmaster Nicole White has shared it in the chat box. So I would love for us to have the agenda with us as we move forward. And for our guests, once again, welcome to Leadership Speak. I'll request Toastmaster Hannah to share the Leadership Speak background for those guests who would want to be identical to us this afternoon. The background will be in the chat box and you can download and partake in this meeting with our lovely background, which shows the 34 member countries that are represented in the Leadership Speak Club. At this time, I will move on, call upon our educational speaker, who is none other than our president, Holmes Teng. He is a project manager and is very clear of what accountability is about. He says accountability is the best of change you want. Toastmaster Holmes, I welcome you to the podium to give us the educational for this afternoon. Toastmaster Holmes, accountability is the best of the change you want. You can welcome to the virtual podium.
Veronica, to go the LS education Evaluator also.
Oh, I've come again.
The
LS
evaluator. The evaluator introduces.
Rozy,
Yes.
go ahead.
I'll take it over. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Today, Holmes will be delivering a level 5 project, and this requires him to practice and practice developing and presenting a longer speech. Holmes, as our president, truly cares for dependability by our members, and his personal objective or his personal purpose statement today is to inspire us. By listening to him, we should get even more inspired to act upon the fundamentals of leadership. Thank you so much. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster, to introduce his speech title.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rozy and Toastmaster Holmes. Welcome to the virtual podium.
Thank you so much, Rozy.
Continue?
Thank you so
All
much,
right.
our TMOD, Veronica.
Allow me just to confirm that the title of Holmes's speech is An Accountable Leader, Holmes Teng.
Yes, it is. Just give me a moment. Okay, now the color looks correct. An accountable leader. Thank you so much, fellow Toastmasters and guests, for being here today, and a special welcome to our area director, Gosia, for attending today's meeting. I'd like to frame this approximately 18 to 22 minutes session. We call it an educational section. And the way that I would like everybody to look at it is that this is a study session, just like any other coaching, any other chapter meeting that we have in Leadership Speak. We are all fellow leaders, fellow students of leadership, here to learn more about leadership from one another. And it will be a joint collaborative effort. Okay, the next slide. I must say, I prepared this in advance, okay? This is a disclaimer. I prepared this in advance. Let us say you are a club president, and one of your role takers unfortunately have a personal or family emergency, which happened in today's case. We had 2 individuals with a medical emergency, and therefore they had to be replaced at the last moment. As the club president, what would you do? Can I have some responses in the chat? 1 or 2, you may also unmute to share with us your experience in a community club. Tony?
First thing I would do is just step in to take control of that position, but at the same time, recruit someone who would benefit from the experience. And then to do so, I would offer encouragement, support, and mentoring from another member so that everybody wins together.
Thank you, Tony. I also see some response in the chat from replacement, ask in the open group, delegation to particular people. Good. Okay. Let me complicate the matter a little bit more. What if this is your keynote speaker? I see removing the role, okay? What if it is your keynote speaker? What would you do?
Well, it seems to me that happened a few weeks ago and you recruited me. and I stepped in, right? So you're always ready. You're always ready to call upon an experienced Toastmaster, and we're all willing to jump in. So teamwork.
Thank you so much, Tony. I see Toastmasters wear multiple hats, definitely. Removing the role, giving apologies, changing the project into a panel discussion. Okay, I see various answers. Good. I'm very satisfied by today's response. When I tried this question a few days ago, some of the responses got me a little bit worried. But here, it's good. Reason is because when we join Toastmasters, especially we take on the role of a club president in Toastmasters, or it can be any other leadership role, area director, or any of the district leader, or when we translate this to a work context, when we take on a leadership role, we need to be very clear whether we are a team of one or we are one team. In this case, multiple people who have responded, including our former district director from District 86, DTM Tony, have told us there are times where even for the most important role like keynote speakers, we have people standing by being ready. As fellow Toastmasters, as fellow self-directed leaders, this is leadership speak. Each of us here are here to learn about becoming self-directed leaders. So I'm going to call you leaders. Fellow leaders, we need to be very clear. We do not operate alone. We operate in a team. And here comes the concept of what is accountability? When you exercise accountability, what exactly are you doing? What of your senses are you using? And to what extent? Is it mere listening and hearing? Is it merely talking about something? Is it merely sometimes a pat in the back of someone? Good job, let's carry on. I'd like to propose to you, it is a lot more than that, which we all the people that have responded to my earlier questions have alluded to. To put it up front, I call it ownership. I own the outcome as the club president. And I encourage each and every one of you, you don't have to unmute, but think of the particular position that you are in and team that you are in Toastmasters, in family context, as well as in the workplace. Visualize that clearly. Visualize what is happening now and what needs to happen. And you say to yourself, I own the outcome. I take ownership of the outcome. What exactly is ownership? Let's go deeper into this. We are in an online meeting. So I have a list of words here. In any online meeting, and I will say I am also a culprit of this. There are many meetings that I join online. I am online, but I'm not present. I may be looking at my phones. I may be reading a book at the same time I'm joining a meeting. In the workplace, I'm replying emails. Doing is a sense of participation. This happens when we take on roles, and I'm very thankful for two of my role players for stepping in today, Nelly and Vinod. My apologies. Doing. In leadership speak, we have multiple committees. Our committee members, they train, they plan, and above all, they lead. What are some examples? In the educational committee, as many of us would have realized by joining multiple sessions, from the most basic roles, or what appears to be basic, because all clubs have them. The timer, the grammarian, or some countries call it language evaluator. The one who starts off the meeting, the SAA. In leadership speak, we do it in a particular style that adapts to our needs in the club. They are all trained in a particular way. Sometimes 2-3 weeks before the meeting. There are some roles that require more time. For example, the Zoom master. We have a particular set of standards. Who gets spotlighted? When? What does the Zoom master look out for to know it's time to move, it's time to change? And leadership, leading here, goes beyond training to the public communications we are preparing, the marketing that we are preparing, the facilitation of the conversations that the TMOD has with the educational speaker. In this case, in this week, it's me. How the TMOD is connecting with each and every single role player to ensure that they are aware they need to be trained, and they are trained before the meeting itself. And in this process, then we can have the highest to own. Understanding that there is a ladder of accountability that we have, I want to delve deeper. What kind of attitude do we take towards ownership? The answer really depends on the principles that your team or your organization has set. This is Toastmasters, and this is leadership speak. The first statement that I have here, is taken from Toastmasters.org. You log in, you go to the homepage, you see this sentence here. And the second sentence here is our leadership speak slogan. If you have downloaded and you are sharing the club background, you have this on your screen. Let's see how they relate. First thing first, leadership speak is a Toastmasters club. This means anything and everything that we do in the club is based on, it's supportive, and it is aligned with what Toastmasters International, our global world headquarters, set. We are supportive to all their handbooks, all their changes. And let's look at this sentence here. A fun club environment where you will learn and practice together to grow individually. Some of our current and former district leaders may be able to give a half-a-day workshop, just one just based on this sentence, but I shall not go there. Let's just look at a few of the words. Let's start off with a fun club. When we take a fun club and we put together with I own the outcome, what is it that we cannot do? Here is an example. Let's say I'm the club president of another club. This is not Holmes, all right, for a while. Let me just check. Okay, there is no John in the meeting. Let's use John. Let's say we are all Johns for a while. John, you joined the club agreeing with a set of things. You better get it done. Done as soon as possible. In a certain sense, it is, if I may call it, it is still ownership, but a mis-exercise, a misuse of the concept of ownership. When we own the outcome, it is not about, at least in my view and my understanding of Toastmasters International, I stand to be corrected. When we own the outcome as a leader, be it in Toastmasters or outside of Toastmasters, it does not mean we dictate what needs to happen. In all roles in leadership speak, we set standards, a lot of standards. I have a checklist of approximately close to 100 items for TMODs on every single week. But I don't go down to the throat of insisting that every single thing gets done precisely in the way according to the checklist. When TMODs are chosen, I start off the checklist and I start off with communicating with them. It's that they are chosen because I believe that the way that we have designed the TMOD or any other roles is helpful for them to learn, for them to grow. And in the case of some of our trainers, when I reach out to them, hey, can you help me guide the other members through these standards? It is because behind the scenes, they have also expressed to me an interest in learning. Perhaps in one case, it was because this was a person who has mostly been working outside of a corporate context. And this person who has taken on the trainer role now wants to better appreciate in a corporate environment or in a government environment, what is it like to be an operations manager? What is it like to have standards that people need to apply on a daily basis so that the standards of service in a business or government institution is kept? The promises from the leaders to the customers or the citizens are kept. So we cannot dictate. And Toastmasters International very clearly tell us we cannot dictate. But what we can do then is that when we take on ownership of the process, we set the standards, we communicate the standards, and then it is up to us as individual leaders, of course with the support of other leaders that we have. We don't work alone. Collectively, to persuade, to convince, and to get buy-in. In Toastmasters International and in leadership speak, growth is a common goal. To become a better communicator, and especially in leadership speak, to become a better self-directed leader. In the case of TMODs, in the case of trainers, especially, becoming a self-directed leader doesn't mean I read the handbook and I follow line by line what it says. In a recent week, I faced a case whereby a member was doing a project. And this particular project required the collaboration of multiple others. As experienced Toastmasters, we know there are quite a number of projects that are like that, especially if you're taking a level 4 or level 5 or DTM project. This member, who may not be from this club, approached one of the club leaders and said, I have this project. The handbook says I need XYZ. Can you please go and tell the other leaders to prepare for me? It's paraphrased by me. In a community club context, it may work. And if I was the president of some of the newer clubs that were chartered, I would do it to some extent. But in leadership speak, self-directed leaders, fellow EXCO members, fellow leaders here, the answer would be no. The answer isn't no because the club isn't here to support you or Toastmasters International isn't here to support your growth. It is precisely because we want to support your growth that we are saying no. When a person has read the handbook is designed to inculcate particular learning behaviors. So the member, to the fullest extent possible, has to take ownership of the outcomes. If there's coordination required, the member will take charge of it. If the member wants to practice delegation, the member will reach out to the individuals that he or she wants to delegate those specific tasks and make sure the standards are clear and the outcomes are delivered in a way that he or she can still proceed with the project. This is leadership speak. This is why we call ourselves a premier club, because we train, we push the individual members to exercise self-directed leadership and to learn, to experience, to grow from there. In the examples that I've set, including some of the communications you have seen, there are 3 aspects that I want to point out. This is a trust triangle. At the top is authenticity. Each of the EXCO members and each of the leaders, in fact, all the members here, you are interviewed by a current or previous executive member, most of us by the founder of Leadership Speak before we join. What do you need? How can the club be of service to you? These are things that I've heard, and I'm aware most, if not all of us, had heard some form or another, even if not in the interview, and also in different processes. The communication is authentic. When there are things that don't go according to our preferences because of an emergency, we exercise empathy. Please take care. Are you okay? And when roles are chosen, this remains the struggle and something that myself and my VP and my educational team are going through the process. We look at the roles, we look at our demands, and we assess. Just because someone was a former XX director XX precedent doesn't mean that the standards of leadership speak are automatic. There are certain things that take time, and when the member expresses that he or she needs more time, or that he or she has just joined or rejoined the club after maybe 2 years of being inactive, we have to assess logically, systematically, to ensure that we know exactly what the member is learning, what the member is going through, and the member can perform the role. I'd like to summarize here. And as similar in the beginning, I'd like everyone to imagine, visualize the particular context that you are leading. And say this to yourself. We or I will own the outcomes, will be principled. We will connect with authenticity, with empathy, and with logic. And if we ever face something like this, a critical person in the team is not there, we work in a team. We will own whatever outcome that we have as leaders, but we will not dictate. Indeed, as many of us shared, we will look for someone who we can collaborate with. And behind the scenes, why we can do this is because the standards were clear, the communications, the connections were made, they were well made, and the connections were strong. And we have a common goal base of principles. Thank you so much. I'd like to hand back to the TMOD, Veronica.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that educational, very, very important lessons there. Your presence as a member. What are we doing in these virtual meetings? Most of us are multitasking, isn't it? Focusing on other things while we purport to be in the meeting. Let us all be here, have the fun, and let us own the outcome. Very critical lessons there. Once again, our guests, you are the most important people in this meeting. And I acknowledge we do have quite a number of you here. Some of you quite high profile in the Toastmasters arena. And I'll once again remind our PRMast to share the link. We would love to connect with you after this meeting. Please take time to fill in your details in the link on the chat box so that we can welcome you and connect with you after the meeting. Thank you very much, our President, Toastmaster Holmes, for that educational speech. We are moving on to the next segment of our meeting, which is one of the very interesting segments of a Toastmasters meeting, the prepared speeches segment. And today we do have 5 speakers who are going to speak to us on various topics and various projects. And our first speaker this afternoon is none other than Hannah Schmidt. And I will call upon the evaluator for Toastmaster Hannah, who is Toastmaster Sandra Vox, to give us the project objectives of Toastmaster Hannah's speech.
Thank you.
Toastmaster Sandra.
I'm here, and I know that Hannah's going to be very dependable in making us think as she goes through her speech. Her project is Presentation Mastery Level 3, says 11, which I expect is from the electives. Focus on the positive, and it's 5 to 7 minutes. Hannah is to share aspects of the experience of keeping a daily record of moods and attitudes. Like this is one you're going to put your work and time into. Feeling positive or negative, and clocking the successes and the efforts. And today, particularly, she's wanting us to focus on the 3 things for which the speaker is grateful. So she is to record and evaluate changes in behavior, which could be her own behavior, or she may have seen a change in behavior in others because of her. Help me welcome Hannah, and back to you, Veronica.
Thank you. And Toastmaster Hannah believes that your half-empty glass is refillable. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the virtual podium Toastmaster Hannah with a speech entitled Half Full or Half Empty? Half full or half empty? Toastmaster Hannah, welcome to the virtual podium.
Are you an optimist? Then your glass is half full. Are you a pessimist? Then your glass is half empty. Madam Toastmaster and guests, when I joined Toastmasters or an online Toastmasters club quite some time ago, I was elected to be the Vice President of Membership. At first, I felt overwhelmed by this role. I was challenged because leading a virtual meeting as a VPM is, I would say, totally different from doing the same in person. Do I now see my glass as half empty? One of Muhammad Ali's famous quotations says, "It's not the mountain ahead that wears you out. It's the pebble in your shoe." I really took that to heart and made the change. I put on a new pair of shoes and I started facing the challenge. I focused on my goal to excel as VPM at that particular club. Interacting with the visitors and guests, helping them to get settled and building connections was my major highlight. However, as I was climbing the mountain, life placed a pebble in my shoe. During my time as VPM, an executive member disagreed with me. I was even asked to step down and warned that I'd be reported to the top brass. Should my glass now be really half empty? No way. Reflecting on this negative experience would only harm my happiness, my productivity, my way forward. So I chose not to focus on it. I have learned never to reply when I am angry or upset. I don't want to elaborate on this matter further because I want to focus on the positive. I stayed cool, calm, and collected. Even when things got tough, I kept pushing forward. I didn't give up. I didn't give in. And I didn't let it get to me. Fast forward. First and foremost, I kicked the pebble out of my shoe. With my glass half full, I kept climbing. Hannah, reach for the top. Climb that mountain and see the world and discover what's waiting beyond the clouds up there. With one step at a time, one breath at a time, I kept moving forward. Then, and listen to the lyrics of the Carpenter's song. I am on top of the world, looking down on creation, not a cloud in the sky, with the sun in my eye. I stumbled upon something unexpected. It wasn't just a view, but it was a glimpse of something greater. I saw Leadership Speak, a club for self-directed leaders, a place where voices are heard, where growth is encouraged, and where every stumble, no matter how small, how big, is just another step forward. Vince Lombardi said, the person on top of the mountain did not, and I repeat, did not just fall there. He climbed all the way. I am surrounded by people who focus on growth, choose positivity, and understand that leadership is not about standing above the others. It's about walking with them, side by side, step by step. Joining Leadership Speak reminds me leadership is not about waiting for that glass to fill itself. No. Leadership has provided me with opportunity to continually fill my glass with learning, with growth, and belonging. I display self-confidence when talking to others. Here I have learned to phrase sentences positively. No problem. I rephrase with, you are welcome, my pleasure. I am extremely grateful for achieving these milestones. And thirdly, it is worth this view from the top. I'm grateful to have met such amazing friends on Zoom, not just around the globe, but most importantly with Leadership Speak. Staying focused on what I have learned gives me strength to keep pushing forward. I have become less dependable. I have found the confidence and the strength to reach even higher. I am ready to climb the next mountain. Dear friends, surround yourself with people who challenge you, who make you laugh. Most importantly, those people who constantly refill not just one glass, but plenty of glasses. And fellow Toastmasters, when you find a pebble in your shoe, change your shoes, keep walking. When you find a mountain in your path, keep climbing, reach for the top. When your glass is half full, drink. And remember, it is refillable. Focus on the positive. Whether your glass is half full or half empty, you still have something to drink. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. I believe each and every one of us this afternoon is dealing with some pebble in their shoe. This is why we took time to join this meeting and try and find ways of filling our full glass as we keep learning. At Leadership Speak, I believe you'll find your new pair of shoes. We move forward, and our next speaker is none other than Nelly Jane Galido. I'll call upon the evaluator for Nelly Jane, who is Phoebe and Joseph, to kindly tell us the speech objectives of Toastmaster Nelly Jane's project this afternoon. Thank you. Toastmaster Phoebe and Joseph.
Hi, everyone. Today, Nelly will be presenting her speech from from the pathway motivational strategies. And the purpose of her speech is for her to practice using vocal variety to enhance her speech. While Nelly and I connected, Nelly specifically asked me to look at how fast she is speaking because she tends to speak a bit fast during her presentation. And that is one of the things that I will be looking at during her during her evaluation. Thank you very much. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Fabian. Power voice. There is power to the voice. Help me welcome Toastmaster Nelly to the virtual podium with a speech entitled Breaking the Silence. The silence. Toastmaster Nelly, Jane Galido, Breaking the Silence.
I remember sitting in a dark corner of my bedroom, hugging my knees to my chest as muffled screams seeped through the walls. My mother's cries echoed in the silence of the night, and I was 9 years old then, powerless, terrified, and unsure if the new dawn would bring peace or more chaos. And that memory never left me. It carved a truth deep into my heart. Domestic violence is not just a tragedy. It's a betrayal of trust, of love, and of humanity. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and to our honorable guest. Today, I stand before you as a bystander, not as a stranger to pain, but as someone who has witnessed the horrors of domestic abuse. And I stand here with one purpose: to be a voice for those millions trapped in silence. Did you know that by the time I will finish delivering the speech, thousands of women around the world will experience some form of domestic violence? Well, according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women globally, and it's about 738 million, who have been subjected to physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. Domestic violence still continues to plague our society, and yet most of the world still chooses to look away, dismissing these stories as family matters. But I will not look away. This is not just a private issue. This is not just a family issue. This is a public crisis, and this silence must end. Domestic abuse isn't just about the bruises on the skin. It's bruises on one's soul. It's about a mother who stays because she has nowhere else to go. And she has a child whom she doesn't want to have a broken family. It's the child who grows up believing that love must hurt. That's why mom is hurting dad or dad is hurting mom. It's the man who suffers in silence because society tells him that he's weak if he speaks out. It's in us, living in this world that still finds it easier to turn a blind eye than to confront the ugly truth. But if no one speaks, who will? Little Toastmaster, I want to tell you about Christy. Christy is a young woman about my age full of dreams and laughters. When she met her partner, she thought she has found the love of her life. But after she gave birth, the fairy tale unraveled. Her partner began to control her every move, deciding where she could go, who she could talk to, and everyone she could think. She's not even allowed to find a job. He berated her, isolating her from the people who loved her. And when Christy tried to leave, sneered, "No one will believe you. No one will care, and no one will feed you and your child. And you will die of hunger." These words becomes the bars of her persons, and for years up until now, she was still stuck in that dark place, crying for help that no one could hear. Her voice, drowned by fear and silence, up until now. And Christie's stories is not just hers alone. It's the story of millions of men and women who needs us to see them, to hear them, and to fight for them when they cannot fight for themselves. So you might ask, what can we do? Well, we can start by listening. Sometimes a victim doesn't need an advice. They just need someone to believe them and say, "I see you, I hear you, and I'm here for you." We can challenge the narratives that allows the abuse to thrive. We can educate our communities, teach our children that love is kind and never cruel. We can raise our voices loudly and apologetically, because silence is an accomplice of abuse. I know this. I know this because I've been silent. I know this because for years I kept my pain locked away, afraid of what people might say, afraid of what if I couldn't make a difference. But I've learned that even a whisper can start a revolution. And so now here I am, I speak. I am speaking for the child cowering in the dark corner. I am speaking for the woman who feels invisible. I am speaking for that man who hides his scars. I speak before I can, because I can, and I speak because I must. And I stand here in front of you today. I asked you, will you speak with me? Will you be the voice that breaks the silence? The hands that lift someone out in the darkness? I started this speech with a memory, and I will end it with a promise. I promise not to be the child in the dark corner anymore. I promise not to be powerless. I promise not to be afraid. Because I am the voice now. I am the voice who say, enough. And so are you. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. Can we all have virtual applauses for Toastmaster Nelly for breaking the silence? The story of millions who are going through gender-based violence or domestic violence of some sort. That was Toastmaster Nelly with a beautiful story there. We move on to our third speaker this afternoon. And our third speaker is Toastmaster Angela Brown. Toastmaster Angela Brown grew up in Jamaica. And having grown up in Jamaica, she learned some lessons on how to have humor and looking at the public transport experiences. I would like at this time to call upon the evaluator, who is Toastmaster Irene Sadia, to please give us the objectives for Toastmaster Angela Brown's speech.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster Veronica. I have the honor to evaluate Angela's speech today. And Angela will be delivering her speech from the Engaging Humor Pathway, Level 4, Project 8, Managing a Difficult Audience. The purpose of this project is for Angela to practice the skills needed to address audience challenges, disruptions whenever they present themselves in any setting outside of the Toastmasters Club. She is going to show us live with poise and confidence and how to control the room. Therefore, during Angela's speech, you will hear some planned disruptions. Angela has 10 to 15 minutes to deliver a 5 to 7 minute speech and respond to disruptors. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And during the speech, I'll request that we all remain muted and only allow those people who interrupt Angela to interrupt when necessary. And just for your information, Toastmaster Angela is not aware of the disruptors. At this time, I'll call upon Toastmaster Angela Brown with a speech entitled Adventures on a Jamaican Bus. Adventures on a Jamaican Bus. Toastmaster Angela Brown.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Have you ever taken a bus ride that felt more like an adventure? Well, you understand my dilemma. Growing up in Jamaica taught me many things. But the true lesson came from one place: public transportation. You see, riding on the bus in Jamaica is not just about travel. It's an Olympic sports. Adventure, suspense, drama, comedy, and sometimes tragedy. Please allow me to share 3 of those rides with you. One morning, I went on the bus. It was jam-packed. We were packed together like when my daughter is packing her suitcase to go away on a trip.
Hi, Angela. I just wanted to clear something. You spoke about your bus ride as an Olympic sport, but then you described it like a movie, like comedy, tragedy, and this. I got a little bit confused. So, what are you trying to give us a metaphor, either a movie or a sport? What was it? I didn't get it.
Thank you for bringing up that point. Allow me to finish my speech, and then you will understand. Thank you.
Fine. Okay, I will listen to that. Thank you.
One morning, I was on the bus. It was jam-packed. We were packed like suitcase, like my daughter packs her suitcase to go away on a trip. I looked around and I pushed and pushed, and then I found it. A seat. I quickly leaped over like Usain Bolt and sat down like a champion. Then I felt something soft, warm, mushy. I had sat in the poop. I quickly changed my uniform from the back to the front. And I looked around, and I thought, stop the bus!
Mi amor, puedes trancar la puerta, please, ¿Me escuchas?
Excuse me, could you mute yourself, please? Thank you. I turned my uniform around from back to front, and I yelled, stop the bus, as I got off the bus to change my uniform. Another day, another bus ride.
Hey, Angela, I just quickly want to ask. They say that the roads can make the ride even longer. And do you think with something like what you went through, what do you think is happening? Does it happen even now?
Thank you. That's a very good question. At the end of my speech, I will answer any questions that you may have.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay. I thought you'll tell me now. Okay.
It's okay. We can discuss this at the end of my speech. Thank you. I barely got on the bus and sat down before a woman handed me her baby. See, this is common in Jamaica because babies are treated like hand luggages. Oh, what a cute baby. I smiled at the baby. The baby smiled back. Then I felt a warm liquid all over my lap. It felt like the Atlantic Sea.
Hey, Tom. I'm just in a meeting, and the speaker is talking about Jamaica. You have never been in Jamaica. I really would like to go. It sounds very. Can you please go online and find out what is the best time to go? What the flight costs and what the hotels are?
I would like to make sure that everyone is listening. And so please remember to mute yourselves.
Sorry, my apologies.
I learned a lesson that day. Whenever somebody hands you their baby, check if it comes with a warranty. Well, it was the first day of high school, and I had graduated to the famous Jamaican minivan. I was so excited. I waited for the bus. Oh, here comes the bus now. There was music blaring. The driver was singing, Reggae Night. We come together when the feeling right. Everybody bopping the head, and the conductor said, downtown, halfway tree. I quickly got on the bus. The bus was packed. We were packed up like sardines sitting on top of each other. I anxiously waited for my stop. Then I heard the driver say, all right, jump out the back. Excuse me? Yes, man. Jump out the back. I was so scared. I looked at my sister. She looked at me. We held hands and we counted. 1, 2, 3. And we jumped off. Whoosh! We landed on the roadside. Our skirts was disheveled, socks falling down, dignity lost. But hey, we made it to school alive. I learned another lesson. If you can survive jumping out of a moving Jamaica minivan, you can survive anything. So, what did I learn from the Jamaican bus system? Never trust an empty seat. It could be a trap.
Hey Tom, she just talks about we should never trust the bus system. Can you just go online and figure it out? Because I really would like to go there and I don't want to have any interruptions. Can you just figure out? She just talks about the bus system is so horrible.
Once again, just like to remind everyone to make sure you're muted. Or Zoom Master, can you mute anyone that needs to be muted? Thank you.
Okay,
I
just
learned.
A quick question. Just something what you said. You said it was so stuffy, and is it always warm? Really, with the heat there, the bus must be impossible, right?
That's a good question. And I would love to answer that question at the end of my speech. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I learned babies are not gifts. They're loaded weapons with a splash damage. Please, Zoom Master, make sure everyone is muted. And sometimes in life, you just have to jump, even if the vehicle is still moving. So, my friends, if you ever find yourself sitting in poop, holding a stranger's baby, or getting ready to leap out of a moving van, relax. You're not unlucky. You're on the Jamaican bus system. Because if you can survive that, you can survive anything.
Hi, Angela. I think it's the end of your speech now. I would like to know how is sitting on a poop linked to an Olympic sport? Which sport were you referring to?
I'm sorry, can you re-say the question?
Yeah, you mentioned about sitting on the poop and you had given a metaphor of Olympic sports. So I would like to ask you which sports would you link it to?
Well, it wasn't really a sport. It was just a metaphor.
Okay, but your entire speech was based on the metaphor of Olympic sports.
Okay. I think we can discuss this in private after the meeting. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
I would love to go on that trip to Jamaica. I hope things have improved. I pictured myself on the buses as I was growing up. And one thing that I'm thankful for Toastmaster Angela's stories, you need to jump. There are times that you just need to jump. Yes, dignity can be lost, but not your life. So that you can lose your dignity, yes, in the process of changing. Moving forward, we are moving to our next speaker, who is Toastmaster Guerdah Felix. I'll request Toastmaster Nikita Winkler, the evaluator for Toastmaster Guerdah, to please give us the speech of.
Thank you. Today is not a good day for me. I'm not feeling very good, so I hope I can provide the best evaluation to help Guerdah move forward in this speech today, which is titled Authentically Bold. And the purpose of her speech is to...
Toastmaster Guerdah speech, that leadership style is continuously unfolding. Leadership is continuously unfolding, be it in regard to your own personal life, and we need to be adapting to different
Am I still audible?
styles.
Yes.
Yes.
Audible. It's a
Okay, so maybe Veronica's not receiving my information. Okay, I will continue. The purpose of Guerdah's project is for her to identify her primary leadership style or styles and to share an aspect of her leadership style or discuss these styles in general. When I connected with her, her goals are to present with energy, but not performative, to present with energy and in a way that connects with her audience. These are her most important goals for, for this speech, actually, and for her speech journey. And she also asked if this speech conveys who she is. So back to you, Veronica. We can't hear you, Veronica, you're muted.
We'll have the speech by Toastmaster Guerdah. Toastmaster Guerdah and Toastmaster Guerdah, each entitled Authentically Bold. Toastmaster Guerdah with a speech entitled Authentically Bold.
Picture this. It was April of 2012. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Miss Oprah Winfrey came with great pomp and fanfare to deliver 2 shows, one in the morning and the other one in the evening. I was privileged enough to have a ticket, a business ticket that afforded me to sit 5 rows from the stage. Along with Oprah came Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, Ian Lavenzen, and Bishop T.D. Jakes. As you can tell, that was going to be a beautiful evening. Well, the show started with Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra led the segment. By the way, everyone had their own segment. Deepak Chopra was the first to start. Deepak explained the relationships, the visions, the relationships between cellular level, physical level, spiritual level, details. it felt like I was hypnotized. Deepak's leadership style is innovative. He likes to share the vision. Then came Tony Robbins. When Tony came, I'm sure that Tony must have said, there's no way I am going to deliver with an audience that is hypnotized. So Tony said, everybody get up. I want you to talk to your neighbor and tell them how you are enjoying this segment. And of course, we talked to our neighbors. Tony was still not satisfied. He said, now I want you to imagine that you just met somebody that you have not met for a long, long time, and you are happy to see this person. I want you to run to them. And that's what we did, because Tony was so very authoritative in his delivery that we had no choice. But by the end of Tony's segment, I felt that my body was vibrating. That was a very different energy than the first one. Then came Ian Lavenzel. We heard her name. We heard the music. Now that we found love, what are we gonna do with it? And we're enjoying ourselves, but we're still not seeing Miss Ian Lavenzel, because Ian started from the back and walk her way through the stage, almost like a bride. We hear the music, the audience, Iyanla, we love you. I felt like I am in Canada, and the people who were screaming her name was in New York. That's how far away it felt like. But when Iyanla came and delivered her segment, she asked a lot of questions. She asked questions to make you pause. She asked questions to make you wonder about who you are being. And she asked questions that make you want to be better. When I saw her deep within me, I thought, I can do that. And that's why I became a coach, because of Iyanla. Her style is coaching. And last but not least, we had Bishop T.D. Jakes. He is a strong man. Bishop T.D. Jakes is a no-nonsense type of person. He tells you things like it is. Well, if you want your wife to see you as a man, pick yourself up. We erupted in laughter, but he was right. He was right. His leadership style is pace setting. Now that I have shared with you their leadership style, let me share mine. My leadership style was before it was authoritative. Now, surprisingly, it is coaching. But you know, that night, I felt full, experiencing each leader authentically bold, because everything they showed us, it came from themselves. There's no pretense. So much so at one point, Deepak said something, Oprah said, Deepak, what you said went above my head. And he said, that's because that was deep, Deepak. Again, we all laughed. What I loved about all of this is that each speaker was authentically bold, knowing exactly who they are and presenting, sharing in the depth of who they are. That's who I want to become. A leader that is multifaceted and also authentically bold. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Guerdah, for that speech about your leadership style. Moving on, our next speaker is Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku. She believes culture change matters in life and we can be change agents. At this time, I'll Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku's speech. Toastmaster Rana, kindly give us the speech objectives for Toastmaster Lydiah's speech.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. The next speaker is Lydiah Wanjiku, who will deliver a speech under engaging humor pathway, level 1, speech project number 2, writing a speech with a purpose in a 5 to 7 minutes. The purpose of the project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized one on any topic. When I connected with Toastmaster Lydiah, she advised me that during her speech, I look on her Zoom presence and speech structure, among others. That's all, and good luck, Toastmaster Lydiah. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rana. Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku, with a speech entitled Shaping Culture. Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku, welcome to the virtual podium.
Just imagine a person trying to change a moving ship. Is it easy? That is how culture shaping is difficult. But it can be shaped by people, by you, by me, by us, fellow Toastmasters, and our distinguished guests. What is this culture we are talking about? Culture is how people behave when no one is watching. It is the unspoken rules, values, stories that we share about ourselves. Let me give you a story. When growing up, we had a village where my grandmother used to live. And the place was very fertile but full of monkeys. And these monkeys never feared women. Whenever a woman was walking, going to do farming and carrying something, especially edible, the monkeys used to harass women. But when you walk with a man, they never used to bother. They were just staring at you and minding their business. What did my grandmother decide to do? She told me, no, what we are going to do, we are not going to be depending on men. When you want to go farming, we have to go with men. She said, never again. We shall dress like men. We put on trousers, put on jackets, put on a cap, and we go farming. We tried that. It worked. We went in the morning, we even carried our food, we did the farming and came back. That was a testimony from my grandmother. She called a few ladies and she told them, you know what? We will not be depending on men. We will be dressing like men and we go and do our farming. That is what happened. Slowly, women started changing. And to date, the culture was shaped. It changed. Nowadays, they just walk and the monkeys don't bother them at all. They are now coexisting with the monkeys. And that is how the culture changed in that village. When I was reading, I came across a similar article about Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella became the CEO of Microsoft in 2014. And they found the staff members there. They were competing internally. They were working in secrecy. There was a lot of stagnation. What did he do? He started empathy collaboration and a learn it all culture. And finally, he did not speak about it, but he modeled by himself. He became the example. And the team were encouraged to learn from one another and to listen more. And with the time, they improved, and now Microsoft is doing very well. Fast forward, where I'm working as a HR professional, we were so used to, at the end of the year, we ask staff members to give us their evaluations. We noted they sit, they write, they evaluate themselves, then the manager gives feedback, and they forward to HR. 2 years back, we said we are going to do it differently. How? By giving feedback. We hate to encourage staff members, sit with your manager, get feedback. Even the manager, get feedback from your staff. And you can give feedback up or down or even across. And the feedback we got from the managers and the staff members, they even have a relationship. They know each other well. They understand why is Lydia doing the work the way she's doing. And I'll understand my manager. The culture was shaped to now staff members having that good relationship. What did I learn from all this? I learned as leaders, we are supposed to model that culture change. If we want to shape a culture, we have to lead from the front. We have to model. And the people who are affected are good medium to use in order to be able to make a change. And it is not about the slogans written on the wall. It is not about the mission. It's about we taking charge. As we normally say in leadership speak, we are self-directed leaders. We take charge of our growth. We take charge of our development. Same when we are shaping culture, it is we to take charge. So now the question I'll leave you with, the question is, can you, I, or us shape the culture wherever you are? Thank you. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you. Can I have a virtual applause for Toastmaster Lydiah, please? Virtual applauses, let them fill the screen. Yes. Self-directed leaders take charge and are dependable. That was a speech by Toastmaster Lydiah Wanjiku. Once more, thank you. We move forward. The next segment is a very important segment in the Toastmasters meeting. And to our guests, please wait for the next segment. Thank you for taking time up to this time to be here. And once again, remember to fill in your details in the link posted in the chat box. PR Master, just a reminder, repost the link so that our guests can give us their details and we'll be able to reach them as we move forward. At this time, I'll invite our General Evaluator, who is Toastmaster Nicole White, very dependable indeed, to please introduce this next segment. In Toastmasters, we say breakfast is, evaluation is the breakfast of champions, isn't it? Toastmaster Nicole White.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Veronica, for that introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and a warm welcome to our esteemed guests. I'm the General Evaluator today, and I will oversee the evaluation segment of our meeting. I will be calling on a team of seasoned Toastmasters. Okay, so let me just get away our voting, because it just came up on my screen, sorry. Yes, a team of seasoned Toastmasters to evaluate our speakers. Finally, I will share my overall assessment of the meeting. The toast delivered by Dipti Tak will be evaluated by Nicole Miller-Douglas. Zoom Master, please spotlight Nicole MD as she enters the virtual stage. While we await Nicole, our thoughts on today's theme are accountable leadership means leading in a way that takes full responsibility for actions, decisions, and outcomes, both good and bad. Nicole? All right, if we're having some issue with Nicole, I guess we will just move on to her evaluation. I'll move on to the Toastmaster of the Day. Veronica Zuze will be evaluated by DTM Nakawe. So Zoom Master, just some of the extra work for you. Can you spotlight Nakawe as she enters the virtual stage? Thank you, Nakawe. Nakawe's thoughts on the theme are that leaders can't expect others to be accountable and exclude themselves from being accountable. They just can't. Right. Our leadership, right. So there you go, Nakawe, over to you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It is such an honor to evaluate the dependable speaker, our Toastmaster of the Day, Veronica. She has taken up this role, which is in line with her educational journey in pathway visionary communication, which is level 4 and project 2. I have connected with the Toastmaster of the Day prior the meeting, and she has indicated things that she wanted me to look for. The first thing, I just want to commend our Toastmaster of the Day for creating the group where we do all this planning prior to the meeting 17 days ago. She kept all of us engaged in the group, which made it easy for the role takers to work on themselves prior the delivery. With that, we were able to collaborate in an accountable way as leaders in the group. Madam Toastmaster, you've connected very well with your role players, including the speaker. When I connected with you, you had already connected with all the role players that are taking roles today. What I can commend as well is that you attended the meeting when it started. All of us who joined after you were already there, you knew who was coming. And what I appreciate the most is that you took time to check if all the role players were present in the meeting. Where there were some challenges, you were able to handle that prior the meeting started. Where there were challenges during the proceedings, we couldn't see that because you just stepped in with your members and you filled up the open gaps, which closed all the gaps, and the meeting gelled very well. You you welcomed the members as well as the esteemed guests very well. We all felt welcomed. We all felt as important role players in the meeting. You introduced the theme of the day when the meeting started very well. So it was easy to understand all the speakers that came after you and all the role players as to what was the meeting all about. You handled the program very well. My challenge to you is that when your time to speak comes, try to stand, because you wanted me to evaluate your confidence and your comfortability. Should you have used the opportunity to stand and speak up, it would have been even more brighter. Other than that, you handled the role very well. With your smile, with your words, with your actions, you connected very well with all the speakers, and that was so encouraging, and it made it easy for all of us to collaborate. When you wanted us to applause for them, well done. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Nakawe. Very detailed feedback for our Toastmaster of the day, stepping up to this role for the first time. I liked it's very effective that you started out with a commendation for our Toastmaster of the day, and you set up that stage for her to hear about what you would have observed, and your evaluation was packed and showed that you have been aware leading up to this meeting and even today's meeting. So well done. Thank you for sharing that feedback, and I'm sure Veronica will take the areas that she can work on wholeheartedly today. And we are moving on to, I don't believe our toast evaluator is ready as yet. So I'm going to just...
She's here. Yeah.
Okay, so please spotlight Nicole Miller-Douglas. We're going back to her for the evaluation for our toast. Come on, it's a roller coaster. We're on it. That is Jamaican bus, okay? Nicole Miller-Douglas.
Okay, are you hearing me now? Sorry about that.
We're waiting for you to be spotlighted, and we're hearing you loud and clear.
Awesome.
Just waiting on you for the screen. Come on the virtual stage.
Actually, she's not been. I'm trying to do her.
Oh, okay.
My video is on. Could I go ahead and speak then while the video is... I don't know what is happening with the video.
Sure.
Yeah, you can do that.
We have a great imagination here. There you go, beautiful Nicole Miller-Douglas.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters and guests, according to Dipti, accountable leaders should do a mirror test. In her use of rhetorical device, my answer was, I don't do a mirror test often enough. My key takeaways from her presentation is that 1, accountable leaders refuse to play the blame game. 2, accountable leaders accept responsibility. And 3, accountable leaders are part of the solution. These are powerful and relevant points for everyday life. During the presentation, I noticed that the mug for the toast melted in the background. Dipti, you may want to consider removing the virtual background during your delivery next time to enhance the overall impact of your delivery. With that said, that minor distraction did not take away from your powerful message to be accountable leaders. Thank you for doing a great job. And I hope we all remember to do the mirror test. Over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you. Quite profound, Nicole Miller Douglas. You started off with your 3 key takeaways and the improvement where the Zoom and the props can be enhanced by Dipti. And I'm sure she appreciates that feedback. Excellent evaluation. Thank you. As we move on to our first speaker for the other speaking segment of our meeting, I call on our evaluator, Queen of Straight Talk. Yes, it's you, Sandra Walks. DTM Sandra, who is evaluating. Oh, I think I'm jumping the gun too much.
I think so.
Right, I am. Our leadership education speaker speech was delivered by our president, Holmes Teng. I think the bus is going too fast. Its evaluator is DTM Rozy Rana. Her thoughts on today's theme are accountability ensures that what needs to be done gets done, and what most importantly, builds trust and results in high performance. Let's have our Rozy Rana, DTM Rozy, on our virtual stage. Over to you, Rozy. Hello.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. What a compelling and powerful speech today from our President Holmes. Holmes, thank you. The key takeaways came through extremely clearly. As our president and as members, we must own the outcome. We must be principled and we must lead with authenticity, logic, and empathy. I truly, truly valued how you engaged the audience and you used examples as the president and engaged us by asking what would happen if somebody canceled at the last time. You took in the responses very well. You acknowledged Tony. You acknowledged also 2 members who had stepped up at the last moment and taken on roles. I would have liked you to acknowledge some of those who wrote their responses on the chat, but all in all, I thought that part of engagement was done really well. I particularly liked your slides. They were simple, they were powerful, each one enhanced your message. The one on the ladder, the rungs, was used beautifully as a metaphor because there were 5 rungs starting from just being present, owning, leading, and then the final one was the owning. And I really thought that was extremely powerful. You also brought out the unique qualities of leadership speak, the fact that accountability is so strong, we are principled, our standards as a premier club, our self-directedness, the fact that we train, we coach, we look at members' growth, all of that was beautifully done. What would I recommend to elevate this presentation? Well, one of the things you said to me was your objective was really to inspire us. Now, I felt that you had very, very strong content, but it was stronger on logic, stronger on telling than inspiring. If you want to inspire, we need some emotional depth. And I felt that could have come through, especially the last slide where you talk about leading with authenticity, logic, and empathy. That was a perfect opportunity to either bring in a story of your own experience or a story of a member that really felt cared for. That emotional depth was really missing for people to feel it is not about principle, it's not just for standards, but we really care for one another. And that would have inspired us, brought in the fact, what you're saying, being congruent with it being buy-in and not something we must do with a stick, give or take. All in all, beautifully done. And yeah, just one last minor item. Your slides were powerful, but at the end, I'm not sure if it was the navigation, but one of the older slides came back at the end, the question on the keynote presentation, what if the role taker is not there? All in all, beautiful, powerful, compelling, very clear message on what accountability is, great takeaways, beautiful slides. Add emotional depth and you would have inspired us. We are so honored to have our president so dedicated, dependable, and committed to our growth. Thank you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Well, thank you so much, DT and Rozy. You have executed a valuable evaluation for our leadership speaker. Started off out the block with the key takeaways and your observation, and it was very effective that you made the recommendation based on the discussion that you had in terms of Holmes' area that he wants to focus on and upskill itself to ACE. So it speaks to the collaboration. You took that in mind that these objectives were, and you mentioned they were discussed, and you ensure he received value. So that's commendable. Only area of improvement, I would say, just bear in mind the time frame, which is it's challenging. This is a leadership speaker that spoke for like 22 minutes, right? And to pack that in 3 minutes. So yeah, just to keep that in mind is the only area of improvement, but well done. Thank you. Moving right along. And I'm on the right mode. She's ready. She's smiling away. Our first speaker, which was Hannah Schmidt, right? She will be evaluated. But of course, I said that already. Our DTM Sandra Vox, Queen of Straight Talk. And her thought on the theme, accountability always felt negative to her and scary, a place to run away from. She has come to the understanding that her integrity has now been or is our power base. Only stating goals left her feeling vulnerable. She's no longer scared. Woohoo! Over to you, DTM Sandra.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And I knew I could depend on Hannah to really be focusing on the positive. Hannah, I would say that today you moved up your presence. Your enthusiasm was there right from the beginning, and you held it all the way through. It's a challenge because a short speech, 5 to 7 minutes, is fine. Now, when you try and translate that over into a 20-minute keynote, that becomes a different challenge. But you were right on top of it today, and you were excited. And because you were excited, I was able to be excited. That's how emotion is connecting you with the audience. You had a lot of gestures that were natural. Your variety of vocal pace, tone, and moving around really came together today. You were very congruent. What I would like to see, though, is prepared introductions. A well-crafted, prepared introduction not only works with your team so that your Toastmaster of the day has a chance to deliver and be like the barker, the barker at the fair. That can lift it up. That gets the audience ready. But when we use, and I know we do it in contests, it's only the title and then it's critical in a different way. But when we don't have to do just the title, we give everybody a chance to get excited. Even if you were to use what you did as the opening, you came in talking about the optimist and the pessimist. That could have been in the actual introduction. Then when you came into your speech, you could have shocked us with the hook. The pebble in the shoe. Have you had a pebble in your shoe? Ouch. And from there, you could have gone back and repeated what you put into the introduction if you needed to. Are you the pessimist or the optimist? You see how that would have just poof, 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 built us up. So open up with that. Now, I really enjoyed the Carpenter's song. You did that so beautifully. You sang along with it and delivered it flawlessly. And that, I mean, I like my music, so I was very happy. And it caught the whole theme of what you were talking about. When it came to the things that you were grateful of, because obviously this was quite a challenge doing all of this project with all of those things to record. And I kept thinking, I don't want to have to do that one, but you just about convinced me it'll probably be a good thing. But when you came to the things that you were grateful for, you had the phrasing as one of them. The second one I kind of missed because somehow your hands were in front of your mouth. And we have to be very careful. I noticed it a couple of times today, just in general. We have sometimes if people have a little challenge hearing and they look for the rest in lip reading. So be very careful to keep your hands away from your mouth. So I really missed that second one. I got the third one, that view from the top with the challenge and the laughter and the plenty of glasses. Little challenge as you were closing. No, I shouldn't say that. That wasn't your glass that was disappearing. You had lots of encouraging guides, and you had us thinking right to the end. Thank you so much, Hannah, for a great speech. Back to you, GE.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Very well. Well, you are a woman of depth, and I know it's gonna come loaded. And you started off, of course, you talk about emotion in connecting with the audience for Hannah, and it's the same for you when you deliver whether your speech, whatever role you play in the club, and I admire that. That delivery, thoughtfulness, how even when you are providing feedback to elevate the person, the speaker, it comes off in a very professional and thoughtful way. I admire that. I'm sure Hannah has some good takeaways. You have done an effective evaluation, because some aspect of an effective evaluation is drawing on examples, right? Which when you talked about the pebble in the shoe, and other areas too, and then you touch clearly step by step the areas of improvement, and then the area of improvement for you, we're always crossing this path because you're so full of depth. Is the time on by the time the red card come on, you're gearing up into the middle of your improvements. So perhaps I know you're very good at providing additional feedback privately, so you continue with that and maybe add that little extra there so we stay within time. That's my only area for improvement. Otherwise, excellent what you have done. I felt it was effective. Thank you. Off to our second evaluator for this segment, which is Fabian Joseph, joining us from the island in the sun. One of those islands in the sun. He will be evaluating our speaker, Nelly Jane. And Fabian thought on this theme. This is it. For him, accountability, he has always thought that accountability meant taking the blame. That's the truth, right? He's been vulnerable. But this theme has given him a better understanding of what true accountability means in leadership. And it is something he will be applying in his leadership journey. Fabian is on the virtual stage. So over to you, Fabian.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. Nelly Jane, today you powerfully represented those who are trapped in domestic violence. You began with a haunted memory, alone in the dark, hugging your knees, and ended with a courageous promise, a true fighter vowed. Today, your speech was beautifully crafted and deeply moving. Now, let me highlight what worked well. Your story was compelling and very authentic. The vivid opening and the strong, hopeful closing, it created a clear emotional arc that invited us to care, and to act. Now, here is a few areas I believe can lift your speech to a world class. First, your vocal variety. Now, this speech calls for a wide range of expression. At times, your voice stayed in one tone, experimenting with changes in your pace, your pitch, and volume to bring out fear, pain, and eventually hope in your speech will do wonders for this speech. Secondly, connecting beyond the speech. Now, I noticed that your eyes were moving left to right, which suggested you were reading. So, relying less on the notes will free you to connect more directly and emotionally with the audience. Thirdly, matching voice and expression. Sometimes your facial expression and your voice, it did not fully align. Let your voice carry the same emotion your face shows so that we can feel every moment with you. Finally, purposeful pause. When you ask that question, will you be the hand that lifts someone out of the darkness? A brief pause would have allowed that question to settle and deepen its impact. Nelly, with these adjustments, your already excellent speech can truly become a world-class speech. And I want to thank you for leaving us with a lasting promise of hope for everyone affected by domestic violence. Back to you, Toastmaster, General Evaluator.
Excellent. Well done, Fabian. I'm sure Nelly has. Okay, I'm sure Nelly will definitely inject some of those improvements in our future speech. You did an effective evaluation. You began with the key takeaways, right from you set out and mentioned the areas that worked well. And there were only two that you highlighted. But then you come with the areas of improvement and you were specific for the most part, which is excellent. When you touch on pause, that's some good evaluation because you remembered the error or made note of the error of Nelly's speech that the pause could have been injected. That's excellent. An area of improvement when you mention about the vocal variety, then what area of the speech you could perhaps give her that feedback on. That's my only area of improvement. Otherwise, well done. I loved how you deliver and you matched the kind of speech and tone of speech that she was delivering. It's a serious situation or topic, and you started off with that calm and reassuring way of delivering your feedback to her, empathizing and basically saying, hey, I'm with you on this. So thank you. Very good evaluation. All right, and moving on to our third evaluator. Our third speaker was Angela Brown. Oh, we would never forget that one. And she's evaluated by Irene, our very own Irene. And Irene's thought on the theme as I wait for her to be spotlighted by the Zoom master. Hello, Irene. Her thoughts on the theme. Accountable leaders acknowledge missteps without blaming and learn from them, thus promoting growth for all. And I know we all concur. Over to you, Madam Irene.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Angela, you definitely have a way of carrying us with you on the Jamaican bus and the adventures that ensued within the bus. What did you do well, Angela? You handled those challenges with grace. And that was part of the purpose of this project, practicing the skills you need to address challenges and audience challenges. So you navigated through chaotic scenes with humor. And while they may have been uncomfortable, You got us laughing and thinking, what else did you do well, Angela? You addressed every difficult audience member without necessarily escalating tensions. You remained calm and patient, even when one disruptor looked like he could rock the boat. You managed to steer that conversation. How did you do that? By saying, be patient, let me finish. I will address all your questions at the end of my presentation. Very skillfully done. You also said that you would carry a conversation out privately, which helped to reduce any conflict that could have been in the room. Really, really superbly done. What could you have done better? While you were demonstrating, walking away from getting off the bus, you walked away from the screen completely. Angela, my recommendation is pay attention to your Zoom framing. Even when you need to change positions, be very aware that you need to stay within the Zoom frame. That helps to maintain audience connection. There was a very, very clear audience takeaway that when life throws you a curveball, whether it is real or metaphorical poop, or cradling a stranger's baby, or jumping out of a moving bus, you told us to relax. So we walked away knowing that even in chaos, we can relax. So overall, you handled your challenges with grace. You handled your disruptors professionally. You were calm and you were able to diffuse what could have been our attention moment. But if you just pay attention to your Zoom framing, Angela, you will make your next speeches more amazing than this speech that you have delivered today. Thank you very much. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Irene. Well done. Very clear execution, and it came with examples. You started off with a very vivid audience takeaway, which is very important, and what could be done better. And I like how you always take your time and walk the speaker through the various points that you want to elaborate and salient to get across. So well done with that. When you talked about how she can, Angela could improve our Zoom presence with when she's walking away from the screen, it's very effective that you also justify the reason. The reason behind doing this is, if without that, then the audience takeaway, the audience connection is affected. So that is a very good evaluation. And then you nicely tied in the whole message on and the theme of what Angela is bringing across to the audience. Well done, Irene. Moving on to our fourth evaluator. For our fourth speaker, which is Guerdah Felix, she'll be evaluated by Nikita Winkler. Our energetic Nikita Winkler.
Energetic, not so much today. Thank you, Nicole.
Over to you.
Thank you. I think your speech excelled at its purpose, and additionally, it was engaging, full of Guerdah energy, and it left me inspired to reflect on the leadership that I have in my own life, my own leadership style. So first of all, you got me at Oprah Winfrey. I was like, whoa, I want to hear more. Lucky you. And then in the comments, Sandra shared that the real Guerdah appeared in total enjoyment, and that connected her as an audience. So what you've taught us here is that when you have fun in your speech, your audience is most likely going to have fun with you. You wiggled, you sang, you laughed, and the way you presented leadership styles to us were with clear visuals and a story that we were all engaged in, and it was simple and memorable. You literally teleported us into that moment with you, with the world leaders that you presented. And most importantly, I believe those leaders were familiar to all of us. Here is what I felt could have been strengthened in your delivery today. From their leadership style to your leadership style. So you introduced these powerful leaders, but I was eager to hear more of your authentic boldness. What does that mean for you? And how do you embody what you admire in these leaders? You left us, you said to us that you want to become a leader who's multifaceted and authentically bold. What does that mean to you? That's the question that I was thinking of when you left us. You beautifully summarized that being authentically bold is with no pretense, knowing who you are and sharing your leadership, sharing what you know from the depth of who you are. But what I felt was missing in terms of connecting the audience to your presentation was, what's the lesson for us as an audience? Even though you left it with this summary, this wisdom, give us at least one sentence to carry us home. This is what I think you could strengthen. Finally, Guerdah, your speech left me asking, who am I as an authentically bold leader? I believe this is the perfect question for all of us to carry through. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Nikita. Well said. Well put together evaluation. You did mention some key takeaways and also challenged of Guerdah, where she could strengthen. Who knows? She perhaps can incorporate it in a future speech, right? Because you did mention that the characters that she mentioned in her speech, these leaders, what about their characteristics, right? Or the advantages that they have that she could incorporate and bring out about herself. So I thought that was effective. And funny enough, you did come back to the end to say you had a takeaway, a key takeaway, because the Guerdah challenged us or yourself, and you believe the audience as well, to ask, how can we be authentically bold? So I might say it's a little bit of contradiction, but however, still an overall great evaluation and with some key takeaways that you shared and area of improvement for Guerdah. Thank you so much, Nikita. And our last but not least, our final speaker and evaluator, Lydiah Wanjiku, did her speech, and it will be evaluated by Rana. And Ranan's thoughts on today's themes are, as he comes to the virtual stage, an accountable leader takes ownership, both successes and failures, modeling integrity and responsibility, ultimately inspiring the team to do the same. Over to you, Renan. Good afternoon.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Hi, Lydiah. Let me start evaluating your speech earlier. Your speech shaping culture had a strong that immediately drew us in where you're good at with it. You're good at using also pauses effectively, allowing your message to land naturally. One standout moment was when you said, culture is what people behave when no one is watching, because it reflects a good culture. Simple yet powerful line that captured your theme. Your shared story gave dependable insight into how culture is shaped through everyday actions, and your hand gestures added clarity and energy to your delivery. Your speech, to make it even better, let's look at your Zoom presence. Your advice that I have to focus on, one of the things that I have to focus on during your speech. You dressed up professionally and look confidently, very dependable and credible. If I may suggest, zooming out slightly so your full upper body fits better in the frame or in the Zoom frame. There were moments when your hand gestures were cut off, which slightly affected the virtual impact of your delivery and gestures. Adjusting your camera setup will help your gestures come through more clearly and enhance your overall presence. Finally, for the best of this speech, your speech was well structured with a clear opening and meaningful content all throughout. To elevate it further or to make it into the next stage, consider ending with maybe a quote or circling back to your earlier story. This would tie up everything together and leave a lasting impression with your audience. A strong, reflective closing will reinforce your message and make your speech even more memorable with your audience. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Renan. Very good. We heard here area of improvement for Lydiah. The line that you took out that stood out to you and you believe connected with the audience, that was clear. You said that it captured the theme of our message. And you gave explicit example of the Zoom presence or Zoom presence. And that was very good. I would just say an area of improvement when you take the virtual stage or any stage are ready to go move into your role, just go right into it instead of saying, let me start by evaluating your speech. That's just my only takeaway, feedback for you. Otherwise, thank you so much for an effective evaluation. All right, thank you all evaluators. As I move on, timer Nelly, may I request the time for you to share the times in the chat, please. And Zoom Master, please launch the poll for the best effort evaluator. Okay, that was launched, and let me just check. Perfect. Evaluators report. That's there. Excellent. Thank you. Now I call on our grammarian to provide his grammarian report, our DTM Vinod Paniker, Zoom Master. Please go ahead and share and spotlight. There he is.
Thank you. Thank you very much, General Evaluator. Thank you very much. The word of the day was dependable, and the speakers who used it effectively were DTM Rozy, Toastmaster Sandra, and our Toastmaster of the day, Veronica. They used this word. The theme of the day was accountability, and the reason why this word was used is accountability is dependability in action. That is what the original word master thought. So what we are going to do is, I will focus on first the good use of language. I take a lot of notes, so I will just run through what I felt resonated with me, and I hope it clicked with you also. So let me start. the good use of language. Our Toastmaster of the day, I will not give names of anyone, so I will just read the statements because there were nice thought-provoking questions, aphorism, triads, metaphors, similes used throughout the speeches. Leadership begins with owning your choices. Are we a team of one or one team? Exercise empathy. You have a full glass, your half full glass is fillable. Life places a pebble in my shoe. Cool, calm, and collected. Nice use of triad. Fill the glass with learning, growth, and belonging. Ready to climb the next mountain? A thought provoking question. When you find a pebble in your shoe, change the shoe. And immediately after that, our TMOD said, at Leadership Speak, we find a new pair of shoe. Turn a blind eye. I see you, I hear you, and I am here for you. Silence is accomplice of abuse. I started a speech with memory. I will end with a promise. Bus ride was like an adventure. I want to become a leader who is multifaceted and authentically bold. There were two amazing openings. Picture this. Just imagine. Both touching our imagination. There was a stagnation. Feedback up, down, and across. Can you shape the culture where you are? These were some of the words that I found. Quickly, I will say what can be improved. There were many long pauses in the speech. I have observed that when we speak, the long pause can be effective when we are making a powerful point. But generally, when you're speaking, try to go through your words quickly. Kill your darlings. There were a lot of unnecessary things that were there in the speech which was not leading to the point. And many speakers, even I, use the words very happy or very good. Instead of that, instead of very happy, let's use word like delighted. Instead of very good, use words like excellent to be more precise and engaging. I loved being on the spot and I enjoyed the role. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, DTM Vinod. That's a detailed report. I know you said you're going to just focus on here, there, and instead of being specific for each person, but that was smart how you encapsulate everything. And it's very detailed. And yes, time caught up on you. And I must commend you for stepping up today. Very detailed report. Thank you very much. All right. Now I would like to provide my overall assessment of the meeting. For the benefit of our guests, you notice that our group of dependable self-directed leaders delivered exceptional evaluations. We also evaluate the toast of the theme, the education speaker, and the Toastmaster of the day. The speakers and their evaluators collaborated. Their shared goals of striving for excellence, that's what they did. In Leadership Speak, one of our required standards is the speakers and evaluators must connect and discuss the required details of the project. We had a great start. Our greeter, Tony, was warm and inviting to our guests and members. Sergeant of Arms, Jyoti, she had things under control, even as she navigated between our screens and our Zoom background. We had some roller coasters at the last minute emergencies, and some of our role players had emergencies that happened, right? But as we are always prepared in Leadership Speak and we're accountable, several members stepped up. Some even played dual roles today. The gaps, they were filled. Well done to you all. We will continue and we will review today's meeting to examine the areas of improvement. Kudos to our Toastmaster of the Day, Veronica, taking on the role for the very first time. At the beginning, we had a little hiccup here and there, and she quickly eased into the role with such brilliance and asking us to engage with our virtual applause and so on. And this was just a smooth transition. Well done. Thank you, everyone. This concludes the general evaluation segment and my report. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much for a detailed evaluation segment. And thank you to all our evaluators and role takers. We move forward as we conclude our meeting with the thought from Toastmaster Miko. May I request you to give us your thoughts for this meeting? Toastmaster Miko, thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Veronica. Accountable leader. And we had a very good session by our president, the educational speech. And also I'd like to emphasize what distinguished Toastmaster Hannah said. A glass half full or half empty depends on yourself. Since we're self-directed leaders and we know it's refillable, and to maintain the glass and also its content, I'd like to share a small story. It's on the last weekend, I gave some tasks to my team member, architect Samina. And while she was working late, she couldn't finish it. So the next morning, while the weekend was, she said to me that I couldn't finish it. So I told her, you have another member in your team, let her finish the work. That is another architect, Fahmida. And she could actually instruct her and do the work done. And I was impressed by the end of the weekend that she could make it. The bottom line is, if you're a self-directed leader and if you can train yourself, the glass will always be adequate and your actions will be enough for your current situation. So accountable leader is not just taking action, they are also taking responsibility for the consequences. And that is what we have learned today. Throughout the meeting, the whole session, our leaders explained beautifully and effectively. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, for letting me share the thought of the thing. Thank you again, and over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much.
Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Miko, for the thought on the theme of the day. And let us move on to conclude our meeting. Once again, thanks to all our guests for being dependable tonight and being here with us, taking time to share our experience at Leadership Speak. We would like to invite you to please join us again once in future and take time to enjoy this meeting. At this time, I would want to request the PR Master to please share the results of the poll on the chat so that we can see how we voted. Thank you so much, everyone. Our best evaluator once again is Rozy Rana. Well done. Virtual applauses, please. Angela Brown, next speaker. And congratulations to every one of us today who took part, and congratulations to the speakers and for the effort that they put in their projects. At this time, I would love to hand over to the club president or his representative to kindly wind up the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. I'd like to take some time to speak with the most important people in the room, which is the guest. I'll start off with guests who have signed up the guest book. Firstly, Gosia, are you available for some quick comments as our area director as well as visiting guest?
Of course, Holmes and members of Leadership Speak, this was a high quality, very engaging meeting. I was truly honored to be a guest today. And what I saw truly embodied Holmes's words in his education session, meaning a team of one, no, one team. I could clearly see how everyone, every role taker and speaker participated to their utmost knowledge and capability to making this a truly memorable and high quality meeting. Thank you again and congratulations, Leadership Speak.
Thank you so much, Gosia. You're welcome to visit us as and when you're available. I'll go on to some of the other guests. Rose, would you like to give some comments on this meeting? Rose might be away.
Sorry?
Yeah. Rose, would you like to give some comments on this meeting?
Well, the meeting was awesome. There's been a lot of improvement, as I keep saying, and I'm really grateful to have joined. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David, did you raise your hand just now, David?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Yes, I raised my hand. I am from Addis Ababa Toastmasters Club from Ethiopia, and this is my first time joining your esteemed club. As I was been a member for 1 year in Toastmasters, and this experience showed me that we are not just an island, but we are also part of a larger community. So thank you for accepting me as a guest and being part of your journey. And I really enjoyed it in terms of every session. I was following from the beginning, and the speeches were really amazing as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. To David and all guests, anytime you're available, you're more than welcome to visit us. And if you have any feedback to any of the sections that we have for our current or future meetings, do let us know, because we thrive on your feedback. With that, I also note that the time we have passed 12 o'clock, which is our usual time in District 86 based on Eastern Time. I'd like to adjourn this session for guests.
Holmes,
Go ahead, go ahead.
there's one guest that we should really speak to today, and that is Christina Hull. I think it's fair enough, right? What do you think, Holmes?
Let me ask my wife if she wants to speak. Christina,
By the way,
are you
ladies and
there?
gentlemen, that is the president's spouse, partner. So I put him on the spot. Over to you, Christina.
Hello.
So how did
Yes,
Holmes do today?
Why he never win best speaker? Not encouraging enough, not motivating enough. Never do a good job.
Holmes, no dinner for you today. Thank you. You're just pulling your legs. Over to you,
Thank you.
Holmes. It's good to have a laugh. Thank you, Christina.
All right, to our area director, our fellow Toastmasters, as well as guests, I'd like to formally adjourn this chapter meeting. Zoom Master, you may stop the YouTube live streaming as well as the recording. To members and guests,